How you doing? How's everybody doing out there? All right, my name is Folk. For those of you who don't know me, and I am the founder and CEO of TASDN, the Transatlantic Slave Descendant Network. And I'm coming to you today live from TASDN headquarters to address an issue that's been allowed to fester in American pop culture and American society for far too long, in my opinion. And that issue is white supremacy, white privilege at the quarterback position in the NFL. Now, the NFL season is upon us, and we're already seeing this phenomenon rear its ugly head. You can see that in the past, that it was blatantly obvious that the position of quarterback was reserved for white men, white Americans, and that's changed. The dynamics of that has changed some, but it's still very evident that the sports media and the racist white NFL fans are still very aggressive in pushing this narrative that black men in particular, are not suitable for the position of quarterback, and that white men are more suitable because of their intellect and their ability to lead. And this is something that really needs to be called out, not just by our community, but also by the sports newscasters, personalities. There's a lot of black sports newscasters, personalities who are out there reporting on the NFL, but they understand that it's almost suicide, career suicide, to mention this dynamic, because this is contemporary racism. This is the acceptable racism in American society for our time. And if they challenge that or push back on that, they could be fired. But these men need to have the courage, not just the black sportscasters, but the women, the white women, and also the white men. Um, all sportscasters should call out white privilege when it rears their ugly head at any point, at any sector in our society. And they should admonish it. Now, this is not just a black responsibility, but it's a human responsibility. White privilege and white supremacy is evil, and it's caused misery and suffering for tens of millions of people. It should be something that's not tolerated. There should be no tolerance for racism or white supremacy in American society, in any arena: entertainment, sports, politics, or the criminal justice system. So, some examples we see with white privilege at the quarterback position is Daniel Jones being drafted at number 7 to the New York Giants. Now, Daniel Jones came from a very weak program at Duke University when it comes to football. He came from a weak conference, and in that weak program, in that weak conference, he had a lackluster, subpar performance during his tenure at Duke University. And he was selected over Dwayne Haskins, who was dominant in one of the largest football programs, Ohio State University, in the country, in the NCAA, and one of the toughest conferences Ohio State comes out of. And not only did Dwayne Haskins excel in this program, but he was one of the best quarterbacks to ever come out of Ohio State statistically. And he was passed over by the New York Giants, who the New York Giants were in need of a quarterback. He was passed over for Daniel Jones. Now, this is a perfect example, the quintessential example of white supremacy at the quarterback position in the NFL. And it needs to be called out. Another example of white supremacy at the quarterback position in the NFL is one Kirk Cousins, who actually is employed by the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Kirk Cousins has been a subpar quarterback his entire tenure in the NFL. However, he's paid like he's an elite quarterback with all money guaranteed. Not only that, but excuses are constantly made to justify this elite payment that he received by the sports media, i.e., ESPN, Fox Sports, and other sports media outlets. The criticism for Kirk Cousins is moderate at best. because they are continuing, these sports media personalities and the sports media are continuing to sell hatred. They're continuing to sell this idea that white quarterbacks are good at the position, and if no one else can play the position, only white quarterbacks can, even subpar. They'd rather pick a white subpar quarterback over a quarterback who actually has the skill to lead his team to success. Ironically, the quarterback who replaced Kirk Cousins in Washington, Alex Smith, was just as mediocre as Kirk Cousins. And Alex Smith also received a max contract that was guaranteed for his subpar play. This is just another example of the NFL flexing their racist muscles and giving a racist dog whistle to their fans that the position of quarterback is secured for white men, and that white men would continue to receive preferential treatment at this position. Now, we can see that there is this great white hope, this new great white hope out in Cleveland with the one quarterback, Baker Mayfield. He's already being propped up as the heir apparent to Tom Brady. He's being celebrated for his harsh criticism of his former coach, Hugh Jackson, who's black. They're celebrating him for being disrespectful to Hugh Jackson because Hugh Jackson started a black quarterback over Baker Mayfield. And now he's criticizing his teammates. Unjust criticisms when it comes to contracts, when it comes to their play. This kid hasn't earned his keep yet he's being praised for, I guess, what you would call tightening the rings on his players, on veteran players. Now, they did ship ODB, Odell Beckham Jr., out there to bolster the stats of Baker Mayfield. And ODB did point out the fact that he was treated unfairly and harshly by the racist New York sports media for partying and things that he should not be criticized for, things that other white athletes aren't criticized for. However, once ODB arrived in Cleveland, he fell right in line with the praising and the undeserved praises of Baker Mayfield. He understands the game, and he's playing the game of race. Even though he was a victim of the game of racism in the NFL, ODB is playing the game of racism and the propping up of white quarterbacks. He understands that Baker Mayfield is the new great white hope at quarterback, and that he needs to follow that narrative. And we need to call out not just the sports media individually, like ESPN, their CEOs, their boardroom members, their chairman of the board, and their media room members. But we also need to call out the players for not identifying this racism at the quarterback position. We need to hold everyone accountable when it comes to this issue of racism in the NFL. It's our job as fans, as members of the community, and as human beings to call out this racism. We cannot lose our resolve when it comes to dismantling and replacing the system of white supremacy in every arena of American society, regardless of the joy and entertainment that that NFL or NBA or any type of event may bring us. We still need to call out this horrible ideology of white supremacy, white privilege, which has caused misery and suffering for tens of millions of people. We all know this racism at the quarterback position is an outright lie. This behavior not only affects African Americans or black players, but it also affects white players. And here's how: the reputation of white players are sullied in the future the past reputations of white players, because they're only competing in a system that's rigged for whiteness. Just like if you look at the MLB back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s with Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio, you can see that their greatness and their stats are only that based in a system of white nationalism and white supremacy. If those players had to go up against players like Satchel Paige, Oscar Charleston, Buck Leonard from the Negro Leagues, it's no telling where they would fall in the list of all-time greats. It's no telling if they would even had made that list if they had gone up against the Negro Leagues. So their reputations are forever sullied, and there'll always be a question mark by their names due to the fact that they played in a system that was rigged in their favor based on race. They'll never be really truly known as the greats because the system was a fraud. It was a fallacy. The same goes for NFL quarterbacks like Bart Starr and Terry Bradshaw and Joe Namath. They were great in their time only because this system was rigged in their favor racially. If black players were allowed to equally and honestly compete at the quarterback position in their day, there's no telling if those men would have even made the team in competition with black quarterbacks. So when you look at it, white privilege is a cancer and a poison to us all, not just African Americans, but in the here and now. And historically, we know that it's the African American who has been at the forefront of the fight against white supremacy, and we need to continue that fight. So if you have any questions in regards to TASDN and what we do here and how we expound on these subjects, what our mission is, what we do in this network, and our position in this movement, you can reach me at folkgm at tasdn.org. You can send me a DM through this Instagram page, or you can actually go to my website at www.tasdn.com and register for more information there. I'll be coming at you all with more subjects and topics regarding our community and the advancement of our community and protection of our community in the future. I appreciate you attending this live. If you agree with this message, if you see what I see, if you think this needs to be changed, I encourage you to share this video with other members and people in your family and your social circles, and spread this message, because this is the only way we're going to successfully dismantle this wicked system and replace it with a system of justice. So once again, my name is Folk. I'm the CEO of TASDN, and I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.